What is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel, where today we are once again going through my experiences with Dark Souls 1. In the last week, we did the first 3 bosses in the game. This week, we continued on and we moved all the way to Anorlando. If that doesn't make sense to you, that's probably because you haven't played the game yet, but it's like the next big section of the main game. So I've basically been on a roll of doing a boss a day for the most part, and yeah, I'm loving Dark Souls Remastered. It is easily becoming one of my favorite games ever, which is a tough pull to, or tough ask, because I have some really high quality games that I think are my favorite games of all time. If you don't know, my favorite game of all time is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and it's going to stay like that for a very long time. And Dark Souls is now joining that company along with maybe one or two other games that I hold in that high of a regard. The other two games that I hold that high in regard are God of War Ragnarok. I think that is the definition of perfection. I love that game so much. And The Last of Us Part 1. Part 2 has obviously got better gameplay and stuff, but the story in The Last of Us Part 1 is simply spectacular and special and emotionally draining. It's just the perfect story. I love it so much. So those are my three 10 out of 10 games, if you want to call them that. And Dark Souls Remastered is literally on the way to join them. I love this game so much. So before we get started with that, I just want to say that I did do something. I did purchase Alan Wake Remastered. As you can see, it's still sealed. I'll only open it when I plan to play it. I'm probably going to play it in between Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2, just so that I don't get tired of the Dark Souls trilogy too quickly. I don't want to be disenchanted and start hating the games just because I'm playing them too frequently. So yeah, that's why I have other games like that in between Dark Souls and Dark Souls 2. I want to play something else. I don't do well with horror games, so that's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, without further ado, let's hop straight into the video and go through the bosses that I have fought thus far and tell you my experiences with them, because I asked you guys if you wanted to see that and you guys voted yes, 100%ly. No one said no, so let's hop straight into that. Now the first fight we did after last week's video were the bell tower gargoyles. Now this is a fight where you start fighting one gargoyle and then another one flies through when you've got the first one through about halfway of their health. And I quickly figured out after trying the Drake Sword a couple times that the best option for me was to go straight back into my Zweihander and just absolutely do the most amount of damage I could to the first one. And you'll even see that I get the first one pretty much dead before the second one even lands down properly, which I found was a much better strategy than what I was trying to do. So the bell gargoyles were a bit irritating, but nothing too difficult. So this was a fight that I enjoyed and got through pretty quickly. After the bell tower gargoyles, we moved on to the moonlight butterfly, which wasn't too difficult. Its ranged attacks are a bit frustrating, and this is actually the first boss where the Zweihander, and the only boss since then that the Zweihander has actually let me down. I couldn't hit fast enough, and you'll see why that becomes important when she comes down. She gives you these very small opportunities to actually get some hits in. And these fast little projectiles were very frustrating. So I needed something that hits a lot for a lot of damage very quickly. And the Drake Sword at the time of, well, when I was doing this, was the best option I had. Now that my Zweihander is much more powerful as I'm in the later game, well, not later game, but just further on, and upgraded it a lot, I think this boss would have been a breeze with how my Zweihander is now, but then was really, really difficult for me. Really took way too much time. But other than that, she isn't the most difficult boss, just very repetitive and sometimes frustrating. After the lovely moonlight butterfly, we moved on to what is easily my least favorite boss thus far. I absolutely dreaded this fight. The boss is actually very, very simple to take down. But these little dogs are so frustrating. There is no good way that I found to just cheese them off without using a sword that can just stab, and none of my swords stabbed or moved in a straightward direction. All of mine did overhands from the right hand side, so every time I tried to whack them, they would get stuck on the wall. But you'll see once the dogs are down, the demon goes down relatively simple. And I'm not looking forward to redoing this in my second playthrough because I didn't chop off his tail and get his weapon. But yeah, once the dogs were down, the boss is really easy. But until those dogs are gone, oh my gosh, this is very frustrating. This has taken me, or did take me, the most amount of tries to beat out of any of the other bosses. After that absolutely awful environmental design for a boss fight, the next boss that I fought was the Gaping Dragon. Now, when I saw this thing, I freaked out. I thought this was going to be the hardest boss I've fought so far. But as you can already see, I had already taken off its tail, so I got the tail sword, and basically all I had to do was just attack it while it was crawling. It really was not the most difficult boss, unless you decide to walk off the drain at the end of the map, which I did in my second try, forcing me to have a third try, which is where I obviously beat the dragon. It really was not that difficult. It's just you have to be aware of your environment. From one silly mistake right into the next one. I mean, look at how close I was to taking down Quelaag on my second try. And she came up with a new move that I hadn't seen before or was not aware of. She literally just blows up when you're right underneath her, and that absolutely took me out. But in my next try, I was fully aware of this and got her back down to basically where the same place was that I had her, and yeah, just made sure to roll out of the way when she looked like she was about to sit on me, basically. Yeah, so got her out quite simply. She was not that much of an issue. And then yeah, moved straight into the next one. After Quelaag, we just had to go beat the Iron Golem in Sen's Fortress. Now, getting through Sen's Fortress is harder than the actual Iron Golem. Sen's Fortress is one of the most annoying areas I've had to do so far. After Sen's Fortress can be even worse when you're just getting started in Anor Londo, but I haven't fought my first boss in Anor Londo yet. But I know everyone really does not like the next boss that I have to fight. It's a dual boss. I think it's Smo and Ornstein. I know that can be very difficult, so if you guys have any suggestions, any advice, please let me know. I'll probably have tried it a couple times by the time this video goes live. But back to the boss at hand, the Iron Golem isn't difficult as long as you take out the giant troll at the top throwing dung beetle bombs at you. I mean, they literally look exactly like dung beetle balls. If you're in South Africa and you've been to one of our national parks, you'll know what a dung beetle ball looks like. It looks exactly like that to me. Obviously, they're just these giant fire bombs that can take you out one shot, and I found that out the hard way when I first fought the Iron Golem. So I rectified my mistake and went and killed the troll first, then went to the Iron Golem afterwards. And then yeah, he was pretty simple. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed seeing me get through some of the more later bosses, or the bosses that can take a little bit of time, and I definitely struggled with one or two of them. Stupid demon. But besides that, I'd had a really good time with all these bosses. I learned their moves and figured out how to beat them relatively simply. None of them were overly difficult in my opinion. Most of it was just down to my own stupid mistakes. There were some really bad ones, like walking off the flippin' edge of the world at the Gaping Dragon fight. That's gonna stick with me forever. I am never gonna let myself forget that. And then obviously getting absolutely squashed by Quelaag. I don't think that was highly intelligent of me. But other than those two times, I think I have done quite well. I'm quite proud of the fact that I have not been absolutely destroyed, and best of all, I haven't been overly frustrated to throw my controller through my screen yet. Except that the freaking... Ooh, did not like that stupid boss, the Capri demon or whatever they want to call him. He actually wasn't that difficult. It was those dogs. I could not deal with the dogs. Anyways, it's over. It's done. I only have to do him in my next playthrough again because I didn't cut off his tail like an idiot. Anyways, we'll get there. It's fine. Calm. Anyways, I'm super excited to carry on playing this game. So I'm going to hop straight back into that. And we will be doing the Silent Hill playthrough really, really soon. I'm probably going to do it this weekend so that the video can come out sometime next weekend. I don't think it'll be a Friday video. I don't want to take up a Friday slot. I'm enjoying these Dark Souls videos for Friday videos, collection videos, something like that. The Silent Hill is a promised video, so I'm not going to let it take up a Friday slot. Anyways, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week and you will join me for the Silent Hill video and whatever comes next, whether it be Dark Souls or something else. Enjoy your weekend.